Hello, this is Arnold Mangioli for Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing. And we are grateful and ready and open and willing to hear more stories from the legendary Sandy Campbell. I think this might be our seventh chat together, one for every night of the week. I know. Seems like more than it is. Now, we've been talking about all the people you've worked with, Liza Minnelli and Chita Rivera and Bernadette Peters and Katharine Hepburn and all the stars. We've left out Patti Lupone, and I have a feeling you have a story there.
I have a story.
I knew you would.
I did all the auditions for Oliver. For this was not the original Oliver, which was in the '60s, maybe I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it was a revival that, and we were at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater
Yes.
auditioning and rehearsing. I played all the auditions. Now I was playing the rehearsals,
Yes.
and it was the day of the orchestra was reading for the first time meeting with the actors, and Patty was doing one of the songs. I think it might have been Papa. It was something that the introduction, the band plays, and the conductor, when it's time for the actor to start singing, goes da, and that that sign they make means start singing. So we were rehearsing it. It's going, and Patty's up there doing her lines or whatever and he goes, and she said, what? Wait a minute. And the band stops. She says, you know where it says on your music, you see down there where it says vamp till ready? And the conductor said, yeah. She said, that means you vamp till I'm ready.
Awesome.
And he did.
I bet he did. Yes.
Great. I loved her forever from that. You vamp till I'm ready.
Just glorious.
Star divas, they're so fabulous.
It's true. Great stuff. Oh my Lord, that is just wonderful. Now, Marilu Henner, you did some work with also.
Yes, well, I actually played over there, over here.
Over here, yeah.
Yeah, I played like the last 2 months of the show. The person who was playing piano in the band left. I can't remember details, but I can remember we were on stage. The band was on stage. So they put the piano over by the wings and had me wear a jacket and a bow tie and comb my hair back.
Wow.
So that, and they wouldn't give me a light because they didn't want anybody to know it was a girl in the band of the it was like 1940s. Well, there were girls in bands, but as far as their show was concerned, it should be all boys in the band.
Wow.
So I saw her because we were on stage. The band was on stage. I could see Marilu from behind because we were upstage, but on the same level as on the stage floor. Okay, so I'd run into Marilu and I'd see her and we'd go hi, So now this is years later, and I was doing Chicago, um, and it was the revival, which was so successful as opposed to our original Chicago, where they hated us.
Well, it took a while for our culture to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now it was revived on Broadway, and Marilu Henner came to audition for it, and first she had to be taught. We always met with people who were going to audition. We'd spent time with them and showed them a little bit of the choreographer and so something I can't remember what happened with her hair, but she needed to pin it up, and I had bobby pins,
Yeah, bobby pins.
and because it was longer, and so she said, "Oh, I should have had pins," and I went, "I have some pins here." Oh, I mean, that's my job. I'm a caretaker. And so she could do whatever it was with her hair. Okay, so she auditioned, and then I never did follow up on anything. I never knew. I mean, I just did I was a day person, you know. So several years later, several months later, she comes in to rehearse. She got the job, and she was going to be on Broadway doing this part. And so we were rehearsing. She walks into the rehearsal and went, "Oh, here!" And she gave me back the 2 pence I'd given her. And I went, what? I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. She has perfect memory of everything that has ever been. She can recall every single person she's ever met, what they said exactly. She has total recall.
Wow.
To remember 2 bobby pins. Wow, I was impressed. She's also really, really terrific. A really terrific person.
Remarkable. Well, it's what we were talking about last session about the way stars have that generosity of spirit and how they take care of their casts and, you know,
Yeah,
see themselves in that role
they
when they're
gave
good at it.
bobby pins back.
That's just wonderful. Now I have a note here that says Geraldine Page sewing bags. I don't know what that is, but does it have anything to do with the 2 bobby pins?
It should, but it's not. What happened is that, and I believe this is where we started being friends. Betty Davis was doing How Green is Our Grass, or there was a musical.
Green
Green,
grow the lilacs.
Green.
How green was my valley?
I think it was Green My Valley. I think was
How
what
green was my valley? Yeah.
that Betty Davis was going to star in this musical. She had never starred on Broadway, and she had never starred in a musical, as far as I know. So I didn't do anything. I wasn't involved in that at all until one day, for some reason, somebody had me meet Geraldine Page and teach her a song from the show. And they were out of town. The show was out of town in
Okay,
rehearsals,
I see.
in performances. Getting ready for out of town. So she came over here and we hit it off immediately. She's just divine. And so I went with her to who was the man who was the director of South Pacific? Do we
Josh
know?
Logan.
Josh Logan. We went to Josh Logan's house, which was in River on it's like 54th Street and the East River. River,
Riverside Drive.
huh?
Riverside Drive was it? No, East
No,
River.
no, over on the east side.
Oh,
But
okay, River. Yeah,
beautiful, amazing apartment
I'm sure.
that you drove in through the gates. It's like 54th and
Like York
no,
Avenue, way over there.
but it's on his apartment overlooked the water.
Gorgeous.
And it used to have its own place for boats to park, but they couldn't do that anymore because they put the highway along
Right.
the.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so we went to his house to for Jerry to sing for them. But first of all, we walk into this elegant building and the gloves, the white glove building,
Yes.
and 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 we went into the living room, and there's a huge silent grand piano and flowers, lots of flowers,
Sure.
and overlooking the water. And the maid brought in coffee for us all, coffee or tea, whatever we needed, and we sat down in lovely couches and chairs and went, "Oh, how are you?" I mean, I didn't. I'm just standing there holding my music, but but they did bring me coffee, um, and they're saying to Jerry, "So how are you doing? And how are the kids?" And they're saying, "Oh, they're fine," and they all know each other, right? And so they talk and chit chat, and finally he says, um, well, we heard you have a song you'd like to sing for us. And she said, oh, yes, I will, Sandy. And so I went to my big grand piano, and and Jerry sang her song. And then we sat a little longer and had a little more coffee, and everybody went, oh, wonderful, wonderful. And we left. And they don't say you're never, even no matter who you are, they're not going to tell you got the job. Okay.
Right.
So, so we left, and and She said, "I'd like to do some more of that. I'd like to sing some more. Can I come and see you?" Because they paid me, the producers paid me for this. But Jerry said, "Well, can I pay you to come and work with me?" And I said, "Sure." And I thought it would be a pleasure. And so we made up our time to meet. And in the meantime, the show closed. Betty Davis quit. I don't know. It just all fall apart. The show never happened. That's why
Oh,
I can't remember the title. But it did happen out of town, in some out of town place, which I can't remember where they were,
mhm.
and because I wasn't there. Uh, so Jerry was finished with her singing career, her potential singing career, and so she started singing with me. And what she did is that she was this perfect chameleon. She had hair. She had a wig, and a wig that went long,
Yes.
curly. She didn't have long curly hair. She had regular hair, but this and no makeup. And she would bring with her, because she had a whole bunch of kids. She would bring two uh, paper bags of sewing. And while she was waiting for it to be her turn, she would come in and sit, one of the other places, and wait for her turn. And she would knit, she would sew up the holes in the kids' jeans or whatever. And she looked like a bag lady. She could walk down any street. Nobody ever asked for her. She was so smart. Nobody ever asked for her autograph. Nobody had the faintest idea that that was Geraldine.
Hmm.
Isn't that amazing?
Such a huge star at the time. Yeah. Sandy, I typed it in here. I'm looking it up. It says Betty Davis was in the Broadway bound musical Miss Moffat.
Oh yes, that's right.
Is that what it was?
So what was it based on? Do we?
I got to look here because there's also something called Two's Company that she seems to have done.
Oh, that I don't know.
Uh, Let me just see if there's any.
That's correct. That's it. Whatever it was.
Expected to be the triumph of her spotty stage career. But
It was
apparently,
have to close out of town.
opened and closed within 2 weeks at Philadelphia's Shubert Theater. A musical version of The Corn is Green by Emlyn Williams.
Yeah, I knew it had something to do with green.
You knew there was some green in there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how wonderful. All right. And that's a great story. I mean, it's funny because I remember how in the like late 80s, early 90s, you'd see Cheetah sometimes over at Joe Allen's or places like that, just sitting at a corner table, just doing some knitting, just quietly, unobtrusively, just kind of like relaxing and, having dinner. It's like, well, gosh, they're people too.
Well, she and her husband, which is Rip Torn,
Yes, Jerry Page and Rip Torn, yeah.
yeah, and they were part of a group of people who got vegetables. They got vegetables.
Like a co-op
A
where
co-op
you see, yeah,
that they had to do a few days every month of being the co-op person,
yes.
and they were nobody. I think nobody ever figured out that these were the famous people because they were so normal, so extremely normal, and so actually available. People could talk to them, and they didn't realize that these were very famous movie stars, Broadway stars. Oh yeah, yeah, right. They were.
Wonderful, isn't it? Yeah, I have a good friend who's also a casting director, and he and his partner went on a cruise. And his partner is a hairdresser and, doesn't know Broadway celebrities. And Patti Lupone happened to be the headline entertainment on this cruise they were on. And he said to his partner, well, go on, you're ready, go on down. I'll meet you at the bar and then we'll go to dinner from there. And he arrives down at the bar like 20 minutes later, and his partner's sitting there having a whole conversation with Patti Lupone at the bar, having no idea who she was. And he said how you could just tell how Patti was loving it. She was just having the greatest time. So that's kind of a wonderful thing too.
I
So
love.
to close out this session, you had a story about a lady from Star Trek named Nana Visitor.
Yeah. Where shall I start?
Well, I know she was in Chicago, but I also see a note you wrote about Golden Boy. I didn't know
Yeah.
she done that?
After Golden Boy, after Chicago, Uh, she, I can't remember the composer's name. Oh, I hate it that I can't remember things anymore.
Sorry, Chicago is Kander and Ebb.
No, the composer
Golden Boy.
for Annie. He wrote Annie.
Oh, Martin Charnin and Charles Strauss.
Charles Strauss, and whom I had known from my very first job at AMDA when I was, 25, and he told me then that he loved being an accompanist, and he was a rehearsal pianist for Broadway shows before he got his show. He was pretty young when he got,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, his first show, Bye Bye Birdie. He was, yeah, a kid himself, but he'd still had a whole career of being a rehearsal pianist and a coach. And he told me that the one thing about becoming a famous composer that was so horrible for him is he couldn't take jobs as an accompanist anymore.
Mm.
So he loved me. I mean, it was really nice to me because I was doing what he loved to do. I mean, I loved him because I wanted to write Broadway musicals too. But so I liked him very much, and he was a really, really nice man. So he wanted to do a new version of Golden Boy, and they did it at New Haven, in the theater at New Haven, and Nana was asked to, because we had done Chicago together, so Nana was asked to audition for Golden Boy, and so I coached her. It was a totally different range from Roxy. Roxy went like to uh, the A, the orchestra's tuned to that A,
Yes.
whatever it was. But it's not a very high note. And Golden Boy has some really high stuff. So, and Nana could do it. She has this amazing range, and she doesn't even know how wonderful she is because she doesn't, she just does it. And um, so she got the part, and she went to New Haven, and she played that part. Charles wanted to be able to bring it back into Broadway, and of course things fall apart all the time, so it didn't happen. But for Nana, it was great, and people were thrilled to see her, and thrilled to see her in these parts. Not They didn't expect that from her. What is it? Star Wars?
Star Trek. Yeah.
Star Trek, for her Star Trek fame.
Yes. Marvelous. Yeah, it's interesting how many stars of television and film come from the musical theater.
Uh huh.
They start out in musicals, and then later in their career, when Hollywood isn't that interested in people over 40 or 50, they have somewhere to come back to, and they can still be a star.
Nana was a dancer. She started as a dancer. Her father was a choreographer on Broadway. It was, of course, I can't remember his name at the moment.
Wow.
Her mother was a dancer. She came from a whole show business family. So for her, if you have to sing this up higher, oh, she went, oh, okay. You have to dance more, okay. I mean,
It's so exciting when we find people who have that kind of name value, where they're a star who could sell tickets to a show, that a producer will, say, yes, let's go with that person. And then they also have the goods.
yeah,
It's so wonderful. It's like when Glenn Close, did Sunset Boulevard. And it was like, well, and everybody's like, wow, she's a movie star, but she can sing. Hi, we saw her do Charity Hope Barnum in Cy Coleman's Barnum so many years before. She started in musicals.
I
So
would those
of course you did. All right, let's wrap this one up.
auditions
Jim
with
Dale, and
Dale, and then Jim Dale came into Me and My Girl when I was doing Me and My Girl.
yes, he did.
He replaced Robin.
Yep. Yes, yeah. And he did Candide for us also.
Yeah, that's right, which I played.
Yes, you did. I love you to death. This is the legendary Sande Campbell. I'm Arnold Bonjoli. This is Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing, and thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.